Hope everyone's having a good Sunday morning in this nice, lovely weather. For the most part, you should still be in bed. Why are you up this early? In any case, if you are up, awake, and you've had your breakfast, we can probably do a bit of reading together. Now, probably just try to zoom in a little bit more on the article. It's going to go through some newspaper stuff just to practice our reading together. So here's a nifty little article from today's Straits Times. No, wait, this is from yesterday. So this is pretty interesting. I think it's pretty relevant to some of us, most of us actually. So, youth mental health. PAP group wants age of consent for services to be lowered to 18. So this is going to be great for a lot of youths, especially people who require the services. So let's take a closer read. Let's find out more. Start in a bit. Just make yourself comfortable. It is a Sunday, rainy Sunday morning after all. Although I think the rain has stopped for the most part. Just settle in and get ready to do some reading together while I fuel myself with some bottled coffee. Can't say this is the best coffee, but it will do for what it's worth. Okay, so let's dive in. Youth mental health. So, PAP group wants age of consent for services to be lowered to 18. A new mental health group launched by the People's Action Party (PAP) on October 5th is pushing for the age of consent for mental health services to be lowered to 18. Certain services, such as mental health assessments and basic counseling, should be made accessible without parental consent, says Ms. Rachel Ong, an MP for West Coast GRC and co chair of the workgroup. Presently, common law sets this age at 21, with some mental health providers requiring parental consent for those under 18. But if our young people are deemed responsible enough to bear arms in national service and drive at the age of 18, then surely they should not be held back from accessing mental health services and taking charge of their well being, she added. Ms. Ong said lowering the age of consent will help youth who might otherwise face parental resistance to mental health treatment due to stigma or worry about burdening their parents. She added that interventions such as those requiring medication, hospitalization, and surgical procedures could still require parental consent. Ms. Ong was speaking at the PAP headquarters in New Upper Changi Road at the launch of the workgroup by Education Minister and PAP Assistant Secretary General Chan Chun Sing. Ms. Ong said that the mental health of Singaporeans, particularly young people, is one of the most pressing issues confronting families here. Citing a recent survey by the Institute of Mental Health on youth mental health, she said the findings showed that a third of young people aged 15 to 35 did not seek help despite having severe or very severe symptoms of depression, anxiety, or stress. In her speech, Ms. Ong also proposed tighter regulation of counselors, therapists, and psychologists working with youth to ensure only certified and licensed licensed professionals can offer vulnerable young people mental health services. This will also safeguard our youth and build trust among parents, who may feel more comfortable seeking help for their children when they know that they are in safe hands, she added. Ms. Ong said the group will engage parents to educate them on the importance of their children's mental health and show that, like their physical health, checks are necessary for them to get better. She said in February proposed these changes to the age of consent and regulation of mental health professionals in Parliament. The group's formation was announced by Prime Minister Lawrence Wong in June as part of efforts by the PAP to engage with groups and stakeholders beyond the party and better represent Singaporeans' views. This came after PM Wong told Parliament in February that the government is making mental health and well being a key priority in its national agenda. Among other measures, he said that the number of public sector psychiatrists will be beefed up by about 30% by 2030, with a 40% increase in psychologists in the same period. His comments followed the October 2023 launch of the National Mental Health and Well-being Strategy, which aims to create a comprehensive ecosystem for people with mental health needs to receive support and help early in community settings without stigma. Speaking at the launch of the work group, Mr. Chan said he hopes the group will promote a deeper understanding of the complexities of mental health issues and assure those facing such challenges that they are not alone and build mental resilience within communities. He said mental health is not a party or non party issue. It is an issue that is close to all our hearts. And that's why, together, the party and the professionals and the public have to work together to overcome some of these challenges, Mr. Chen added. At the event, Senior Minister of State for Health, Janil Puthucheary, introduced a panel of 8 mental health experts from hospitals, social service organizations, and psychological services that will support the group's efforts. Dr. Janil, who is co chair of the PAP Mental Health Group, said the panel will serve as a brains trust with the technical and professional expertise to ensure the group's decisions are evidence based. The third co-chair of the group is Dr. Wan Rizal, Wan Zakaria, an MP for Jalan Besar GRC. The seven other MPs in the group are Mr. Edward Chia, Ms. Miriam Jafar, Mr. Melvin Yong, Dr. Tan Wu Ming, Ms. Tin Pei Ling, Mr. Xie Yao Chen, and Mr. Yip Hon Wang. Mr. Yip, MP for Yio Chu Kang, said the group should explore whether more subsidies could be provided for mental health services at polyclinics since people feel safer accessing healthcare in their local communities. Dr. Janil said the work group will think about how to improve the accessibility of mental health services and raise awareness of the resources available. So here's a list of helplines and contacts that are available in this article. Probably wouldn't read through everything here because there's quite a lot of numbers. If you're interested to know more, you can read this article on the Straits Times or just look for the title Youth Mental Health PAP Group Wants Age of Consent for Services to be Lowered to 18. So we'll just take a break from this, can have a look if you can see the helplines. If necessary, the helplines are available here. So that's that on mental health in Singapore. Perhaps now we will turn to something current in Asia. Weirdly quiet. Fewer Singaporeans in JB after VEP rule kicked in, say businesses there. So this is published yesterday, October 5th, and we shall see what's happening in JB. For those of you stuck here in Singapore, Johor Bahru, Mr. Chen Hua Hing decided to step away from his usual spot at the cash register and could be heard calling out to potential patrons to stop for brunch at his Bukit and seafood joint on October 5th. The owner of Wah Hing Pakute, located next to the popular shopping mall KSL City in Johor Bahru, had felt something was amiss throughout the week as his restaurant was quieter with fewer meals served. It was really weird. The week was so quiet, Mr. Chan, 60, told the Straits Times. He has since realized that the slump in footfall was caused by fewer Singaporeans driving into JB after the new vehicle entry permit VEP rule kicked in on October 1st. Many Singaporeans had avoided entering Malaysia via the two lane crossings over the next few days, with 20% fewer vehicles entering Singapore. On October 1st, the Star newspaper quoted a Home Ministry official as saying, "Has anyone tried to visit Johor Bahru since the implementation of VEP? I mean, I'd probably take the bus. It's a lot cheaper that way and less congestion, I suppose." Anyway, let's continue with the article. The good news is that Malaysia has delayed the strict implementation of the VEP regulation as the authorities rush to ensure that more owners of Singapore registered vehicles get their permits. Issuing errant with drivers with only a written warning to do so. The authorities already said that they won't issue any fines. So more must be done to tell them, Singaporeans, to not worry too much. Mr. Chan said, adding that 70% of his customers are Singaporeans. So I guess everyone's just afraid of the fines, of losing money. Apparently, the hawker owner assures Singaporeans that there won't be any fines. It's just errant warnings for now. I mean, could always treat the police officer to. Oh wait, this is Bak anyway, so that's probably not a good idea. The VEP, which comes with a radio frequency identification (RFID) tag, allows the Malaysian authorities to identify foreign registered vehicles, enabling them to track traffic offences and outstanding summonses. Some 20 shopkeepers and mall visitors in JB, whom Straits Times spoke to between October 3rd and October 5th, said there had been a noticeable drop in footfall over the last few days. Miss May Wong, 30, a retail manager selling travel luggage in KSL City Mall, said she was also feeling the pinch. She had sold only one set of wheeled suitcases by noon, October 5th, compared with selling about 30 pieces of luggage daily in the previous week. Oh, that's a lot of luggages. At this rate, it's tough to reach break even on the rent, she said. The company had rented a large space on the ground floor of the mall until November. Well, can't be as bad as COVID, I suppose. COVID was probably a lot worse. Although hopefully this is only temporary. SSI Maju Express car wash worker Muhammad Rabin said he was worried that he may not get his usual daily wages at the end of October 5th. His team of three men had managed to secure only one client in the lot behind KSL City, and the clock was quietly ticking towards noon. We need to hit about 30 cars a day to get our salary plus commission of about ringgit 60 ringgit, or $18.50 Singapore dollars, said the 26-year-old. So that's kind of unfortunate. It's like these sudden uh, policy changes and implementations, if not properly done or poorly done, it affects a lot of livelihoods of a lot of people. It's not just the people going in, but the people in Johor Bahru who have businesses that rely on Singaporeans have been affected as well. So let's continue. Interviews with business owners and visitors at several shopping districts popular with Singaporeans found that some of the crowd appeared to have returned, but shopkeepers say the vibe on October 4 was significantly quieter than in previous pre-weekend evenings. Oh, that looks really empty. Stall operators at Pasar Karat, a night flea. Is that cart or carrot? Pasar Carrot? Pasar Karat. A night flea market said they have suffered a 30 to 40% plunge in sales since October 1st. When asked if he knew about the VEP rules, clothes seller Faizal Abdullah said, maybe that's why it's been weirdly quiet. A waiter at Maid on Monday, a late night cafe some 5 kilometers from the city center in Jalan Abdul Samad 1, said that the empty tables on October 4 evening was extremely unusual. Singaporeans, he said, tend to come in waves from 9 p.m. Good lord. All the sleepless Singaporeans. And they would queue to get a seat to enjoy coffee and Italian food, and to smoke shisha, flavored tobacco smoked through a pipe. Fancy people. All these fancy Singaporeans. My goodness. On October 5th evening, live camera feed of the causeway and second link in Tuas from the Land Transport Authority LTA, one motoring website showed a long line of vehicles queuing up to enter JB. But it still looked to be shorter than the snaking lines often seen on weekends. Checks using the Beat the Jam app showed the average waiting time at the causeway was around 50 minutes throughout the morning from 7 a.m. The average waiting time was still 50 minutes at around 6 p.m. Several Singapore shoppers told ST on October 5th that said they felt that the visitors from the Republic were back in full force. That's subjective. At Jalan Dobi, a street known for its traditional bakeries, long queues were seen at coffee shops and cafes at around 9 a.m. I wonder if we should watch the video. I don't think I'm supposed to press on this video, but it's very tempting. We shall continue reading, avoid the temptation to watch videos. A 23-year-old Singaporean aviation worker who wanted to be known only as Miss Chua said Jalan Dobi was quite packed and it was hard to book a grab ride out of the area. Asked about his view on whether the VEP would deter Singaporeans from entering JB, businessman Lee Wan Choi, 66, said things would eventually square out to be the same as before, and this thing will stabilize sooner or later. Would you agree? I think he has a point. I think that things were probably a lot worse during the pandemic. This is just a small little hurdle, if anything, small deviation from the usual. When the same question was posed to Mr. Hazim Esman, 27, a social development officer from Singapore, he said, I think Singaporeans will still come to Johor with or without the VEP. Nothing replaces the many choices of things to do and buy here. Also, the currency difference will probably Singaporeans won't stop. I mean, the VP probably won't stop Singaporeans much, given the how favorable the currency is to Singaporeans. Meanwhile, queues at the TC Sen's VEP Collection Center in Danga Bay showed no signs of easing when ST visited the area on October 4. Singaporean motorists were coming in with technical issues, including needing to replace their RFID tags and deregister an existing tag. So troublesome. Mr. Saifuddin Zahir, an outdoor adventure consultant, said he queued from 9:30 a.m. to around 5:30 p.m. Good lord, to get his tag replaced. How does anyone have that much time? He said that the tag, which he received by post on the first week of September and fixed on the headlight himself, could not be read at the immigration booth. It's quite disappointing for us because the application and registration process was fairly smooth. But at the last stage, when we finally received the tag and installed it, the message displayed at the checkpoint counter said it can't be read. Now it's almost back to square one because we need to deregister the current tag and get a new one again. So that's the end of the article. Does anyone have had any prior experiences with the VEP? Let's see what happens if we click on this. Oh, there's no volume. There's no volume on this thing. Oh well, sad face. Let's move on to the next article. We'll just take a short little break and we will continue with the next reading article. Okay, so here's a subscriber exclusive article because paywall content is wonderful. So here's some free paywall content for everyone. Australian casinos struggle amid crackdown on crime links, problem gambling. So this is from the October 5th. Let's read on. Sydney, once among Australia's most profitable entities, the country's casinos have been laid low by government crackdowns on money laundering and problem gambling that have hit their bottom lines badly. The main operators, Star Entertainment and Crown Resorts, which once enjoyed a steady stream of seemingly unstoppable cash flows, now face an uncertain future after the government's actions stripped away key resources of their profits. Star Entertainment, which is the largest listed casino operator and has venues in Sydney, the Gold Coast, and Brisbane, is struggling to avoid collapse. Sounds pretty serious. On September 26, it revealed that it had recorded a Australian $1.7 billion loss, which translates to 1.51 billion Singapore dollars. Still quite a lot of money. Loss in the year to June 30. On October 4, the company's shares dropped to 26 Australian cents from a high of Australian $5.43 in February 2018. Crown Resorts, which operates casinos in Melbourne and Perth, also faces a bleak future. The flow of high rollers, mainly from China, has fallen ever since it took a decision in late 2020 to end dealings with junket operators amid revelations about links between these operators and crime syndicates. Subsequent government inquiries unearthed the company's ties to junket operators with clear criminal links and a failure to combat money laundering, sparking a storm of criticism. An expert on gambling in Australia, Associate Professor Charles Livingstone from the School of Public Health and Preventive Medicine and Monash University said ongoing crackdowns by regulators on unethical and illegal practices at casinos meant that operators had found it much harder to make money. In Australia, the casinos made their money on the back of money laundering and the exploitation of vulnerable people, he told Straits Times. They thought they could get away with it forever. If you shut off those two streams of revenue, you are shutting off hundreds of millions of dollars. In a research note about Star obtained by ST, Joey, a financial services firm, estimated that Star's Sydney casino was worth just Australian $8 million. The note, dated September 27, said the company faces significant challenges from an earnings, liquidity, and balance sheet perspective. The government inquiries into the country's casinos have resulted in resignations of senior executives at Star and Crown, fines worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and warnings from regulators that the casinos must transform or lose their licenses. Adding to their financial pain, the casinos have also been subjected to strict new measures by state governments, which have introduced cashless gambling to combat money laundering and problem gambling. The measures require gamblers to use cards with daily limits on the amount of money that can be spent on gambling. By ending the use of cash for gambling, state governments aim to combat laundering of cash and prevent gambling addicts from spending more than they can afford. Analysts have warned that the cards will take a major toll on casino revenues. Cards introduced at Stars Casino in Sydney from August 19, which have a daily cash limit of 5,000 Australian dollars, have reportedly resulted in an 11% drop in average daily revenue from casino goers. The cards are due to be rolled out across the industry by October 19, and the daily cash limit will be reduced Australian to 1,000 Australian dollars by August 19, 2025. Carded play is having a bigger impact than expected. An analyst at investment research firm Morningstar, Mr. Angus Hewitt, told the Australian news outlet on September 30th. In Australia, gambling is regulated by state and territory governments, which have tended to be lenient on casinos to ensure they do not close, which would lead to significant job losses. In April 2023, for instance, Star's woes prompted it to cut 500 employees from its workforce of about 8,000, which currently includes 4,500 staff in Sydney and 3,500 in the Gold Coast and Brisbane. State governments have not offered bailouts to casino companies, but they have shown flexibility in applying new regulations such as cashless gambling and allow casinos to keep operating despite finding that they were unfit to hold a license due to poor oversight and failures to combat money laundering and fraud. On August 30th, the New South Wales Independent Casino Commission, a state regulator, released an independent report that found Star had improved its risk management but had not yet demonstrated adequate changes to its culture to address issues that led to money laundering and fraud. The regulator is now due to decide on any further action and could revoke Star Sydney license or impose conditions or fines. A decision is expected later in October. Professor Livingstone said Australia's casinos will need to change to remain viable, potentially by reducing the size of their gaming operations and focusing on other areas of the business, such as hotels and food and beverage services. The casino will have to be an adjunct to other business activities, he said, if they want to stay within the law and remain licensed, they can't keep doing what they're doing. They will have to keep their noses clean. So that's about money laundering and casinos in Australia. Hmm. Let's look for maybe one or two more articles. In the meantime, we'll just take a quick little break. Let's see what we can find here. Anything of interest? Hmm. What? No, I don't want to read this. More headlines. Yeah, let's see here. I suppose we can do some local news. Let's check this one out. Okay, here we go. Just need a little bit more coffee. Let's get going on this rainy Sunday morning. Hope everyone's having a good Sunday morning. If you are awake, you should be asleep in this nice rainy weather. But if you can't go back to sleep, we shall do some more reading together. So this is a fresh out of the oven, updated 28 minutes ago from the Straits Times. Over 2,000 BTO flats with waiting times under 3 years to be launched in October, which is this month. Singapore. Home buyers in the upcoming Build to Order BTO sales exercise in October will have to wait less than 3 years for their units with the launch of 2,085 flats in 3 projects in Bukit Batok and Sengkang. Housing Board on October 6 said the launch includes 689 flats in West Brickville at Bukit Batok with a waiting time of 2 years, one of the shortest wait periods ever. The sales exercise in October follows the release in June of a 791 unit project in Woodlands with a waiting time of 2 years and 11 months. In total, HDB will have offered 2,876 flats in 2024 with a waiting time of under 3 years. This means it will meet ahead of schedule, a 2025 target it had set to offer 2,000 to 3,000 flats each year with a waiting time of less than 3 years. The launch in October is HDB's third and final BTO exercise for 2024 after it reduced the limit, sorry, after it reduced the number of BTO launches per year from 4 to 3. Home buyers vying for units in the same exercise in two other projects in Sengkang will have to wait a little longer. The waiting time for 545 flats in Sengkang sales is 2 years and 3 months, while the waiting time for the 851 flats in Fernvale Oasis is 2 years and 9 months. HDB Chief Executive Tan Meng Dui said the board has been working closely with various government agencies to make project sites available earlier. He added that construction works actually start many months or even more than a year ahead of project launch. As a result, HDB has been able to offer nearly 3,000 flats with waiting times of less than 3 years in 2024. Almost 4 times the number of such flats it offered the previous year. This builds on the current delivery timelines of our mainstream BTO projects, where we already have been awarding tenders and starting constructions as soon as the sites become available, instead of waiting till the sales launch for flat applications to come in, said Mr. Tan. HDB said it will continue to recalibrate its building program over time so that flats with waiting times of less than 3 years make up a larger proportion of new supply. West Brickville at Bukit comprises 5 14-story blocks with 2-room flexi 3, 4, and 5-room flats. So pretty. The project will have some 3-gen flats as well. These units are generally larger and were first introduced in 2013 to allow multi-generation families to live together. Located between Bukit Batok Road and Bukit Batok West Avenue 8, the development will be near LeQuest, good lord, LeQuest Mall and the Jurong Region Line's Tengah Park MRT station, which is expected to be completed in 2028. Good grief. The design of the block's facades pays tribute to the former brick factories in the area, while the meandering jogging and cycling paths that connect facilities such as playgrounds and fitness corners draws inspiration from the flowing form of kin smoke. That's a tough one to pronounce. Kin, kin. Gosh, this is hard to pronounce. The Fernvale Sales Project, its name inspired by Sengkang's history as a fishing village, will have 4 23-story blocks with 2-room flexi 3, 4, and 5-room flats. So that's the Fernvale Sales. These names are terrible. So here we go. To be built in Fernvale Link and Fernvale Close, the project will be close to a supermarket, food and beverage outlets, a preschool, a residence network center, an active aging center, the Punggol River, and the Seletar Mall. Transportation options include the nearby Laya LRT station and bus services in Sengkang West Avenue. Fernvale Oasis, the other project in Sengkang to be launched in October, comprises 5 24-story blocks with 2-room flexi, 4 and 5-room flats, of which 2 blocks will house 23 units of rental flats. There we go. That's Funville Oasis. Nearby amenities include a preschool, a senior center, a residence network center, and recreational facilities such as playgrounds, fitness areas, and a multi purpose court. The development, bounded by Funville Road and Funville Street, will also be close to Tungam LRT station and bus services in Funville Street. I think this is where that famous roti prata place is. I forgot what it was called. There was a famous prata stall that was probably near this Tungam LRT station. I cannot remember the name. Oh well. In October's sales exercise, some 8,500 BTO flats will be classified as Prime, Plus, or Standard for the first time under a new model that replaces the current categorization of estates as either mature or non mature. The other estates where flats will be sold in the October exercise are Ang Mo Kio, Bedok, Geylang, Jurong West, Kallang, Whampoa, Pasir Ris, and Woodlands. So BTO projects with waiting time of under 3 years. So we have the Bukit Batok. So this is the West Brick View at Bukit Batok. It's upcoming new train station line here. There's this Le Quest Mall, which I've never heard of. And then there's the one here at Sengkang. 2 blocks. And that's one block in Bukit Batok. There's 2 blocks here. Funville Oasis, Funville Sales. I used to stay around at Laya LRT station around here. That's Fernville. Ooh, oh dear, what have I done? Fernville LRT, the Salida Mall. It's right over here. Okay, so that's probably enough local news. Let's do some international news. Maybe we will look at something interesting. I don't know. We could read this. This could be useful for everyone. We will continue in about probably 3 minutes. It's a quick coffee break. Okay, we're back for some news article reading. Although this is a news, I think this is more of a just a general article on Ikigai. Has everyone heard of Ikigai? It is a Japanese philosophy that has been overhyped and popularized by self-help publishers and writers because that's how the world works. So, from the Straits Times, uh, Finding my ikigai. From the joys in big purpose to pleasures of many small things. These days, I derive happiness from everyday tasks. Accumulating these pleasures has helped me lead a more positive life in a time of transition. I'm not sure if that's how Ikigai works, though. It was a rest free Sunday morning. My partner Dee was out with our dog, Maddie. A year ago, I would have spent time sleeping in or reading newspapers. Instead, I stayed home to tackle my to do list. At the top, baking a lemon lavender cake. I gathered lavender flowers from the bush I planted in our garden a year ago. In the backyard, I plucked. Oh, hang on. Someone has a backyard here. Is this from Singapore? Oh, it is from Singapore. Wow, someone has a nice backyard. Okay, in the backyard, I plucked some lemons and limes. Back in the kitchen, I prepped the ingredients: yogurt, gluten free flour, and eggs. I zested and juiced the lemons, added eggs, and put everything into the mixer. As I popped the cake mix into the oven, I marveled at baking a lemon lavender yogurt cake with homegrown ingredients, including eggs from our hens. Wow, I think this is in Singapore. There we go. Living in Perth for about a year with a dog, five chickens, and endless chores has taught me to embrace the busyness, to relax within it. I can squeeze in 10 chores before making breakfast and not break a sweat. The garden, once a task, has become my retreat, just as lying on the sofa used to be. Excuse me. A key reason for my shift is that I've stopped viewing chores as tasks to rush through so I can return to my usual pursuits of reading, thinking, dreaming, and writing. Now I am finding delight in them. So after the cake went into the oven, I chopped up one freshly harvested onion to fry with eggs. And it was the sweetest tua chang neng onion omelette in toju ever. Then there were plants to be watered, which was when I discovered a bird nest with two eggs in one of our hanging baskets. When we caught up that evening, I prattled happily to Dee about my day, leading him to observe that I was taking a lot of joy in the mundane activities of a humdrum day. He remarked admiringly on how much I had changed, and indeed I have. Or maybe that's because she's living in Perth and not in Singapore. From big purpose to many small joys. In my 20s, I scorned domestic activity. Life to me was all about achievement and purpose, and journalism gave me a sense of big purpose, allowing me to have a voice on national issues. Wow. My purpose as a political journalist was a source of ikigai for me for many years. The word ikigai was made popular in the 2016 global bestseller Ikigai: The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Hector Garcia and Francis Miralles. Ikigai refers broadly to what brings joy and value to life. What gives a person ikigai can be people such as family or friends, or activities such as work and hobbies. The book includes a guide to how you can find your ikigai in the form of a Venn diagram of overlapping concentric circles that has gone viral. Ikigai is the sweet spot in the center of those overlapping categories where you are doing what you love what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. As Garsha explained, for example, if you love to cook and are good at it, cooking could fulfill the categories of what the world needs and what you can be paid for. Your aim could be a modest one, such as catering a friend's party or bringing smiles to faces of those who have enjoyed your food. Though it may be difficult to fulfill all four categories, by keeping them in mind, you can make your ikigai even more fulfilling. For me, being a journalist occupied that sweet spot, as writing was something I loved doing and could do well, while being a journalist was a purposeful job which paid reasonably well. Writing has always been the activity that helps me enter a state of flow, the state of deep focus and enjoyment when one is fully immersed in an activity and loses track of time and forgets about self. The concept was popularized by the 1990 book Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience by Mihaly, oh dear, Mihaly Zigzant, Mihaly, Mihaly Zigzant Mihaly. I am guessing that's how it's pronounced. Someone help me. When I am working on an intellectually engaging topic or writing something from the heart, I often enter a state of flow. It doesn't matter if I had a bad day. If I am in the middle of a stressful financial transaction or a conflict situation, once I start writing, everything falls away and I get engrossed. Emerging hours later when my stomach growls, when the light grows dim, or when my creative energy is spent. I didn't know it then, but I was building the foundation for flow that is helping me adapt today to a life beyond journalism. Not everyone is blessed to have a job that puts them in a state of flow, but everyone can have many activities throughout the day that we enjoy doing, cultivating many moments of microflow. Microflow refers to the short moments of focus and enjoyment we find in our life throughout the day. Unlike the optimal state of flow experienced in, say, a competition by an athlete or a complicated operation by a surgeon, microflow can occur when we are going about our day, cooking, washing the car, or talking to a friend. In this way, a life of purpose and happiness can be built from the ground up, made up by many microflow moments. A life full of many small moments of happiness for me has been a good antidote to the mental health challenges of modern society. Also, admitting the fact that she lives in Perth, a beautiful day. Several years ago, I found myself in a negative emotional spiral. I spent months in a state of dissociated pain, as though I was not quite present in my body. I walked around feeling gutted, literally, as though there was a hole around my middle. But that's kind of, I don't think that's literal. I think that's metaphorically, but we'll just run with that. My job as a writer and editor, my ikigai activity that calms and centers me through upheaval, kept me sane, as did the support and counsel of a few close friends. Many self help books and videos later, I chanced upon a simple piece of advice. When you wake up each day, tell yourself, today is going to be a wonderful day. Then go about your day and do your best to be positive and cheerful. At the end of the day, no matter how hard it was, tell yourself, today was a beautiful day. Go to sleep and start over again and again. I started practicing that simple ritual. I don't understand how, but it worked. As I went on, each day seemed less bleak than the other. Eventually, there would be one beautiful day, and then two in a row. Maybe it was the intentionality that worked. Beginning your day with the intention of making it beautiful, and then trying your best to be positive. Maybe it worked because my mindset shifted from thinking of how miserable I felt to thinking I was going to have a great day. And as psychologists tell us, mindset makes all the difference in how one perceives life. Maybe it worked. Oh, right, sorry. Maybe you are. Maybe you too are in a difficult phase of life. Maybe you lost your job, and with it, your sense of purpose. Or a spouse dies or leaves, and your anchor is adrift. Or you have finished school and are considering your life purpose. Or like me, you are moving past corporate life into the great beyond and wondering what's next. I don't have a lot of grand advice except to note that when big purpose fades away, there is a temptation to strive to find a replacement quickly. Resist that temptation. Let big purpose slide away and let small joys enter the void. Lean back and let the humdrum daily activities come to the forefront. I am learning to do just that, reveling in the unexpectedness of discovering such simple joys as baking a cake after decades of spurning domestic life. Not to mention probably all the savings. My morning chores and attending to chickens, dog, child, and partner, not in order of importance, are full of microflow moments, and somehow I trust that these microflow moments will bring me to my ikigai. And yes, I had a beautiful day today, especially since she's living in Perth. So that is all for our reading. I suppose we could probably squeeze in one more short one. How long is this article? I think we can squeeze in one more. So a lot of focus on mental health issues, so let's dig in. Mental health myths. Is it possible to get better, and is seeking help expensive? Singapore. Is it prohibitively expensive to seek mental health help in Singapore, or is it? Ms. Si Yenteng, Chief of Caregiving and Community Mental Health Division at the Agency for Integrated Care, sets the record straight on common misconceptions about mental health in Singapore. Myth number one: the Institute of Mental Health is the only place to seek help for all mental health issues. The Institute of Mental Health is the only tertiary hospital in Singapore that specializes in psychiatry, which is the diagnosis and treatment of mental health conditions. However, other restructured hospitals also have psychiatric services that offer diagnosis and treatment. What's more, hospitals are not the only places where you can seek mental health help. Those who recognize the signs and symptoms of mental health issues in themselves or their loved one can also go to their general practitioner or regular polyclinic for a diagnosis and treatment. Other mental health first stop touchpoints such as community outreach teams can be found at social service agencies. These teams can understand a person's needs, promote early recognition, and provide emotional support to individuals and caregivers. Social service agencies also have a community intervention team which provides assessment, counseling, therapy, case management, and psychoeducation support for clients with mental health issues and dementia and their caregivers. With the assessment, the team develops individualized care plans for clients or link them up with other suitable services. To locate and contact these teams, individuals can use Community Mental Health Wayfinding tool co-developed by the Agency for Integrated Care and MOH Office for Healthcare Transformation. The tool is designed to help users locate community health services within 3 clicks based on their needs, age, postal address. So that's the Mental Health Wayfinding tool. Community Mental Health Wayfinding tool. That sounds useful. Feelings of depression are not a mental health issue. While there will be times in life that can have you feeling anxious or down, persistent or prolonged feelings of sadness, hopelessness, or loss of interest in activities may be signs of clinical depression or other mental health disorders. Myth number 4, it is too expensive to seek help for my mental health condition. Individuals may be worried about the cost of mental health treatment, but services provided by social service agencies are mostly offered at no cost. Some selected agencies may charge a nominal commitment fee. For medical services such as seeing a general practitioner or polyclinic doctors, financial subsidies to offset the cost are available to eligible patients. Mental health conditions such as schizophrenia, depression, bipolar disorder, and anxiety are covered to a certain degree by MediSave under the Chronic Disease Management Program. You can use your MediSave to pay up to $500 of your outpatient treatment cost per year. Your copay will be 15% of your bill. My mental health records will be shared with other parties. Your visits to the doctor or a social service agency will be kept confidential. Health records cannot be shared without permission. The only exception to this rule is when it is ordered by a court of law, or if there is a need to prevent harm to yourself or others. So here are the helplines on very mental health centric readings today. I won't be reading all these numbers here, but you can find them online on the article here. Mental health myths, is it possible to get better? So here are the numbers for your reference, and we will be ending the stream shortly. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. Hope you've been having a good weekend, enjoying the pleasant weather. So later today, we should still be having O-level practice later at 3:30 p.m. Do join us later this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us, and that is all.